Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Lizardmen led by Croc R and the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be led by a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And let's actually go ahead and check what lore he's using. I believe it's Death, and it is indeed going to be Lore of Death. So he does have the Spirit Leech as well as Soul Blight. Soul Blight definitely going to be lowering the armor of my Saurus. I guess they don't have much armor to begin with, but still, 30 is definitely worse than 60. So here in the front line, I do have pretty much all Saurus Warriors without shields. You don't really need the shields. I mean, yes, they give you a little bit more melee defense, but when I'm playing against Warriors of Chaos, I prefer to just kind of get the ones without shields, go a little bit cheaper, and allow me to get some of these goodies, which you see in the back line. So we're trying something completely new here. We rarely use these guys. I think I've used them maybe like 2 or 3 times on the channel, so I guess we've tried them before, but we're going to be using the horned ones. These are the elite cav that are available to the Lizardmen, and I mean, they're definitely pretty strong. The big issue being is that they rampage. So if you look here, they do have this rampage or primal instinct. So when their hit points get less than 50%, they actually start to go out of control, which can be really bad. So if they go out of control, or for example, your opponent gets a Spirit Leech or a Fate of Buna on them near some spears or halberds, they're pretty much just going to rampage into halberds and die. So you have to be very careful with them, but the cool part about them is they actually have really good armor piercing. So if you look at them, they have 52 weapon strength with 35 of that being armor piercing. Pretty good leadership and, decent armor. Let's actually see what that is compared to Chaos Knights with Lances. So their charge bonus is definitely lower. Their melee attack is about the same. Their melee defense a little bit lower as well, which I guess Chaos Knights are pretty elite. But what's going to potentially give them the edge up in this matchup is the fact that these guys have really, really good AP. So they could potentially chew through these Chaos Knights pretty quickly if they're able to get on there, especially with the supporting elements of like the Lore of Heavens and things like that. We have 2 groups of those, looking to either go after the Chaos Knights or maybe chew up the Chaos Infantry with them. Front line's all Saurus. We do have Croc R. He's pretty good against Kolek. He's good against Chaos Knights. He's a pretty safe pick. You're not going to be running into a ton of missile play from the Warriors of Chaos, so usually somewhat safe. 1 group of spears in the back. We got a Rev Crystal here. And for our Air Force, we do have a Heavens Caster with the... we're going to be using Harmonic Convergence and Curse of the Midnight Wind to potentially win these battles on the flanks. And then we do have a Skink Chief, who we're just going to basically sit on this Chaos Sorcerer Lord all game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my opponent's army. He does have some Chaos Knights over here. He has 2 groups in total. One of them is escorted by some Hounds. He does have Halberds, so very elite in the back. Just chosen with Great Uplands, 2 groups and 3 with Halberds. So a ton of anti-dinosaur fun business going on over there. And something else to note about the horned ones is that they actually do have a 75 speed, so they are faster than most heavy cap. So my opponent is going to be circling my formation here, and I was kind of happy about this. I was like, you know what? I can actually just pretend like I'm not going to react, and then as soon as I get a little bit overstretched here, I can chase him with the horned ones, and then go after them with my Heavens Caster and Croc R. Because Croc R is actually really fast. He has 75 speed. He's like that T-Rex that chases the Jeep in Jurassic Park. He moves for sure. So over here, a Spirit Leech going down on my Skink Chief from the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And the Horned ones are now just going to be bro charging these Chaos Knights, but they're pretty much going to get caught no matter what. I mean, they're a little bit slower. I could actually poison them, which would have been some, good stuff, because I would have put them down to like 50 speed and made them get caught quite a bit quicker, but we're still going to get them. We have a good angle of pursuit, and the charge bonus, of course, is going to be the acceleration of being near is going to be playing into effect here. So the Chaos Knights, I think they're going to decide to turn at the last second. It looks like they do, but they kind of get a charge. But the Horned ones definitely get a better charge there. And Cousin Croc is nearby, just all angry. Look at him, just straight up Jurassic Park coming in here. Anna was actually making a funny joke about how he wears Crocs, but he's coming in with his Crocs. He's going to be stomping all over these Chaos Knights here, getting in there with that leap, and you can see it's going pretty well. I do pop the Harmonic Convergence. My opponent responds with the Soul Blight, but I still think the Harmonic Convergence with 67 and 55 for their combat stats is going to be pretty insane. Some Poison Hounds coming in the back, and my opponent does land with his Caster as well, his Lord and Caster. A little bit risky for sure, because Croc R can turn around and start laying a bit of a whooping. I do have the Overwatch of a Skink Chief. More Chaos Knights are coming in, so this is turning out to be like a really kind of a cataclysmic fight over here to determine the fate of the battlefield. As such, I do get a Curse of the Midnight Wind, which is going to be very strong. Those Chaos Knights actually get terrified. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord just gets whooped on by Croc R, just absolutely whooped on. The Horde one's actually trading very well, I think largely due in part to the supporting elements of the Skink Priest with the Lore of Heavens, but also the armor piercing seems to be playing a huge factor here. Another group of the Horned ones comes in, and hopefully they can start munching on some of these Chaos Knights. And of course, like Croc R, having Croc R here is probably the real reason why it's going so well, because he does a ton of anti-large AP, and he also does Terror Route. And you can see some of these Chaos Knights are Terror Routing and just getting stomped all over by these angry dinosaurs. So one of the big reasons I wanted to show you guys this replay, say, like, the Horned ones can be good if used in like a controlled environment. They actually are not doing bad at all here. And Lore of Heaven seems to be really good support, and also Chaos doesn't really have any healing effects on these guys, so pretty good stuff. So we're able to chase those guys down. The Horned ones and Croc are going to be hunting them. The frontline engagement is going to still be very hard, despite the fact that we netted so much value over here, because it's all chosen with halberds. So even the Horned ones, when they get in there, they're going to have to deal with halberds, And of course, the Saurus warriors are going to have a hard time against Chosen. Chosen are just such a beastly infantry unit. So they're going to be marching in here. The Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Death has survived, so he could potentially get some additional Spirit Leeches. It looks like he has been Spirit Leeching, actually. But I'm just going to be chasing with the Skink Chief, just kind of poking this Manticore. You can see it writhing as that blow dart hits it. It's pretty funny. It's like such an insignificant little troll here. But the Halberds get in the front line. The Rev Crystal is going to be smiling, and it totally looks like the Stylodons are smiling every time they attack. So he gets in there, Hand of the Gods going down, and just blasting that Chaos Sorcerer up in the sky here. And now he's kind of in the danger zone. So I was like, okay, if we can break him, I can chase him off the battlefield. If he breaks, I can just get my Skink Chief and my Priest and just kind of hunt him. In the meantime, the cold ones, or the horned ones, I don't know why I say horned. The horned ones are charging in the front line, getting some pretty good damage in. The Curse of the Midnight Wind goes down, lowering their defensive stats, and definitely netting some pretty good value. The other group is going to be going up and around the side and preparing to do a rear charge on these Chosen with Halberds. The Saurus are holding pretty well in their own right. Looks like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord does come in here, but he's definitely in the wrong neighborhood, as these Horned ones are going to come in, and yeah, they're just going to swiggity-swooty all over these Chosen, so they get a pretty good charge in there, and you can see the Chaos Sorcerer. The Manticore animations, when they're like running on the ground, they look so stupid, because like the guy sitting on top like bobs in like a really unnatural way. It's incredible. Oh man, it's so funny. But anyways, the Chaos Sorcerer gets taken out for the most part here. He has about 389 HP. You can see the Skink Priest with the Lore of Heavens is going to be hunting him as well, so we definitely have him in the bag pretty much. But the Halberds are putting a bit of a dent in our lovely Rev Crystal over here. You know, George, he's having a bit of a hard time, but he does tail whip one of them away, which is pretty cool. Saurus are holding pretty well. What's cool about Saurus, even if they don't like win the fight, they have really good leadership, so they're usually going to hold to the bitter end. I do try and get a combat of Cassandora here, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it was, yeah, it looks like. But my opponent did move most of his troops after Krokar. Either that or the AI just pulled them in, so a complete whiff there, but definitely some proud of that action. Krokar does get the cold blood to heal him up a little bit. Some of the horned ones are still in here fighting, racking up a fair amount of kills at 41. They're going to perform really well against Chosen characters. You know, they have enough AP, they have enough melee attack to get through the high melee defense. Definitely think that they're a decent answer to those guys. So right now, Bounce of Power pretty heavily in my favor. It's looking pretty much over. There still are a lot of Chosen on the battlefield, but still with Krokar being full health, well, not full health, but half health, I guess, in good shape. As well as having my horn ones, I can get some pretty effective cycle charging. Although this one group really got whooped on by the Halberds. Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the Warriors of Chaos, as a lot of them are still just going to be, wavering due to army losses and terrified and just all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know, honestly, had those Chosen like kept fighting, it could have gone on for quite some time. But, you know, taking out the leadership and having those cav units to just get in there and break their leadership is definitely some good stuff there. So I was pretty happy with the performance in the cav versus cav game. And I think against Chaos it might be okay because they can't really rampage you easily with like missiles. But prior, I mean, a Fate of Buna effect could be good, but most of the time, as someone who loves Chaos, I'm not going to bring Fate of Buna against Lizardmen. I feel like Shadows is a little bit better. You know, Fate of Buna effects, usually there's not too many good targets, and you don't really expect the horned ones, but they perform really well against the Chaos Knights with Lances, largely, in fact, due to the fact that one of them didn't really get a great charge. The other one did, however, and we still were able to melt that. We did have Krokar in Heavens, but I feel like they performed okay. I actually think I might do like a testing video on horned ones, some of those other kind of unused elite cav units, like the Cold One Dread Knights. I kind of want to see how they would perform against like other elite cav. I feel like maybe if they could actually win some of those engagements, it might be worth the risk of the rampage. I still don't think they're like a competitive solid unit, but I think that they might have a bit of a niche and circumstantially could be pretty good against enemy heavy cav that doesn't really have like the best armor piercing. Yeah, it was definitely some fun stuff trying those guys out. Krokar did well. The Saurus in the front line really held, but these guys were truly the MVPs. For my opponent, the only thing I probably would have done differently is just he probably wasn't expecting like the horned ones to be that effective. So I think, you know, for future reference, I'd probably just march up with the Chosen and use the Chaos Knights behind the Chosen with Halberds and use them to cycle charge the front line. So if the Chaos Knights with Lances had just been charging my Saurus, the horned ones would have had to like be forced into Halberds to fight. And I don't know if I could have done much. I think my opponent would have taken the game for sure. So just using those Chaos Knights in a bit of a higher and tighter nature, keeping them with the infantry when your opponent does have a superior mobile force, I always think that's going to be one of the smarter ways. And that goes for like any matchup. If your like opponent has a superior cav force, but you still invested quite a bit, just keep your cav with your infantry, cycle charge in the front line, and you can usually get some okay value. So anyways, very well played, my opponent Jack. Look forward to running into you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the horned ones in action. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.